Imagine an island that once sat at the crossroads of empire, faith, and commerce, where minarets pierced the sky and the scent of cloves perfumed the air. A sultanate powered by spices, trade, and human lives. For a time, it was the envy of East Africa, until a blood-soaked revolution came, and the island's flag disappeared in the space of a single season. Welcome to the Library of Lost Lands, where we delve into the stories of countries that once were, but are no longer with us. Zanzibar, the jewel of the Swahili coast, was more than an island. It was a kingdom built on maritime mastery and merchant ambition. Part of the Omani Empire, and formerly a sultanate from 1856, it achieved independence as a constitutional monarchy in December 1963, before vanishing as a sovereign nation by April 1964. Its capital, Zanzibar City, particularly the historic district of Stonetown, was a labyrinth of coral stone architecture, spice markets, and carved wooden doors, reflecting Arab, African, Indian, and European influences. At the time of independence, Zanzibar had a population of around 300,000. Its flag as a sultanate went through many iterations, and eventually its national flag was a bold horizontal tricolor of blue, black, and green, representing the Indian Ocean, the African identity of its people, and the fertility of its land. This flag fluttered above the palace for only a short time before being lowered forever. At its height, Zanzibar ruled parts of the mainland as far as the Congo. Yet its grandeur had a dark underside. It was one of the last great slave trading centers of the Indian Ocean. Though Britain imposed a protectorate in 1890 and officially abolished slavery in 1897, it remained an open wound, fueling tensions between the Arab elite and the African majority. When Sultan Hamad bin Thuwaini died suddenly in 1896, the British rejected his successor. In response, the new sultan barricaded himself in the palace. Britain responded with cannon fire, destroying the palace in 38 minutes. A moment now remembered as the shortest war in recorded history. Britain won, but resentment festered. Zanzibar, small as it was, had global reach. Its sultans managed fleets of dhows that crisscrossed the Indian Ocean. It was one of the richest territories in the region, driven by clove plantations, ivory exports, and transcontinental trade. It was also a cultural melting pot. Arabic scholarship, Swahili poetry, Indian cuisine, and Bantu rhythms met in the streets of Stonetown. Zanzibar was cosmopolitan before that word even meant anything. Its blend of Islamic culture, African heritage, and Asian influence gave it a magnetic identity. Even after British rule, Zanzibar managed a peaceful independence in 1963. It had its own flag, currency, UN membership, and a monarch in the Sultan. On paper, it was a sovereign nation, and for a brief time it was. But beneath the surface, society was deeply stratified. The Arab-descended elite, mostly of Omani lineage, held most political power and land. The African majority, many descended from those once enslaved, remained economically marginalized. Elections in 1963 brought an Arab-led coalition to power, even though African majority parties had won the popular vote. This inflamed long-standing resentments. Beneath the independence celebrations simmered anger, suspicion, and a thirst for justice or revenge. That anger erupted on January 12, 1964, when revolutionaries led by John Okello, a Ugandan-born Christian and radical, overthrew the Arab monarchy. Enter John Okello. He was an African Christian preacher and belonged to the minuscule Christian minority on the island. He was also a convicted criminal, and was bitter Christianity held no appeal amongst African Muslims and Hindu South Asians. However, he found racial hatred a more effective way to motivate his African brothers into action. Sultan Jamshid fled the palace and escaped aboard a British warship. The revolution was swift but brutal. What followed was a massacre. Thousands of Arabs and South Asians were killed or expelled. The new government, the People's Republic of Zanzibar and Pemba, declared itself a revolutionary socialist state, but lasted barely 100 days. Under pressure from mainland leader Julius Nyerere, Zanzibar merged with Tanganyika in April 1964 to form the United Republic of Tanzania. Zanzibar retained some autonomy, but its time as an independent country was over almost as soon as it had begun. Today, Zanzibar remains a semi-autonomous region of Tanzania, with its own president and legislature. But the ghost of its independence still stirs in the alleys of Stone Town, in debates over autonomy, and in the cultural pride of its people. Zanzibar is still known as the Spice Island, and the clove plantations remain. The UNESCO-listed Stone Town retains its Swahili Arabic architecture. The rhythms of taarab music, the aroma of cardamom and cinnamon, and the Swahili fusion cuisine still bear witness to the island's layered legacy. This legacy echoes far beyond Zanzibar itself. The island was a cultural crucible for the broader Swahili coast. Cities like Mombasa, Lamu, and Dar es Salaam share its linguistic and artistic DNA. It was also a conduit for Indian, Persian, and Arab migration and influence across East Africa. Despite the bloodshed of its fall, Zanzibar today still stands as a symbol of resilience and cultural convergence, where colonialism, Islam, trade, and revolution met on one stretch of coral coast. Zanzibar was a paradise born of cruelty, a kingdom that became a nation, and then dissolved into revolution. It was a land where slavery and trade, poetry and politics, identity and violence collided in spectacular, tragic fashion. What do you think? Was the fall of Zanzibar an inevitable reckoning with its past, or the loss of a cosmopolitan nation ahead of its time? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell to uncover more vanished nations here in the Library of Lost Lands.